Kingdom Hearts. A series with high highs. Low lows. And some weird experiments in between. And one thing these games have in abundance is super bosses. These guys are absolutely insane.
Show me your strength. That's enough.
And we're going to fight each and every one of them on Critical Mode, which is Kingdom Hearts 3's hardest difficulty, because I feel like it and I love these games. So, let's do it. Young Xehanort, the 13th member of Organization 13 and the first of our battles. Before we can talk about him, we need to talk about how Kingdom Hearts 3 and its combat system and how it works. Since a lot of the combat that you're going to be seeing has some nuances that you might not notice if you're, just watching for the first time. See these arrows in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen on top of the command menu? This is Kingdom Hearts 3's main gimmick, and it's called Keyblade transformations. Each Keyblade has a different transformation that Sora can transform into. For example, the Keyblade I'm using currently is Oblivion, and it can use Dark form. Or, if it does it again, it can go into double form. It's pretty cool. But to get into it, you need to deal damage to your opponent, which is quite difficult when you're always on defense in a fight like this. On top of just these Keyblade transformations, these transformations all have finishers that you can activate by clicking the triangle button while they're active, which can end up with some crazy crap, like you are about to see here. These finishers do a lot of damage, and we want to get as many of them off as possible. It's going to be difficult, but we can manage. Another thing you'll be seeing quite often is Sora glowing red for some reason. This is a perfect counter, and it is one of the best mechanics for damage that we have. When you block an opponent's attack at the perfect timing, you will see Sora glow red. This means that you can now perfect counter, which will deal a crap ton of damage, almost a bar of health every time. I'm not the best at it, but it's, as you can see in gameplay, I've managed to do a crap ton of damage in this fight alone. Bosses also have a couple tricks under their sleeve. After all, every boss has a Desperation move, or DM for short. This move is usually a big set of moves that, they hurt. Usually, they last for a while, and if you are caught in any of these, you're usually going to be at least 1 HP by the time you're out of it. And, if you're not careful, these things could end your entire run. Now with all the tricks that we'll be using throughout the run laid onto the table, or at least most of them, we'll get to some more later, let's go over what Young Xehanort can actually do here. Young Xehanort's fighting style is tricky, because he loves to fake you out. All of his moves have some kind of fake out strategy applied to them, like feinting his attacks, delaying his attacks, all sorts of stuff. On top of that, he loves to stop time and stop you in your tracks. Things like his counter, which can freeze time and attack you, his ice projectile, which can freeze you in place, and even his DM, where he stops time and summons clones to fake you out even more. He is one tricky fighter, and he will whoop you. But by the end of the day, I did manage to beat him by the skin of my teeth, just barely surviving through his final DM.
Exit stage.
Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says.
Dark Riku is the next member of Organization 13 that we have to fight, and is just as tricky as the last, using mines and other area control gimmicks to put you in your place. Dark Riku uses 3 kinds of traps, being his purple mines, his red mines, and his claw trap. His purple mines are blockable, however he uses a crap ton of them, as you can see on screen. The red mines are unblockable, but yeah, they can be dodged, I guess. And his claw trap will track you down, and you have to jump with the correct timing to be able to dodge it. On top of that, Dark Riku has his DM, Dark Aura, which returns from Kingdom Hearts 1. Just like Kingdom Hearts 1, he will dash around the screen and teleport around to attack you. But instead of just doing that and just that, he's also going around summoning shockwaves and all kinds of mines everywhere, of several different types. And it is probably the worst DM to dodge in the entire game, barring one of our later ones. All of this together makes for a extremely difficult and extremely challenging, stressful fight, full of area denial and a boss who just does not stop summoning traps. Seriously, every 2 seconds you're getting surrounded. But finally, after a good chunk of tries, I did eventually beat him, and it felt good.
One more! Take this! You like it? Back
Hey guys, feeling a little left out here.
Next up is Vanitas, the dark part of Ventus's heart that was ripped from him when he was a child by Master Xehanort, which we'll get to later. This is a pretty easy fight, all things considered, especially compared to some of the other fights we'll be getting to later, and is pretty similar to his fight from Birth by Sleep. Vanitas mostly makes use of ranged attacks, things like fireballs, darkness slashes, etc. And will sometimes throw in some melee attacks like a teleporting downward slash, like right here, and some elemental attacks in the fray too, like ice and fireball, more fireballs. Like there's a fire tornado. The biggest problem with fighting Vanitas is his DM. One that to this day I have not figured out how to properly handle. However, this is where we pull out a trick that is very useful in these fights. You see, if you are good enough at the game and manage to get the opponent's health bar down fast enough, you can trick the AI into completely skipping their DM. And it is a very useful trick, especially on fights like these where you really do not want to deal with their DM. And so that's what happened on my winning attempt. I didn't have to deal with his DM, and so I just fought him normally for a few minutes. And it was very fun. In the end, I managed to conquer the darkness in Ventus's heart before moving on to the rest of Organization 13.
Take this! Over here! See ya!
Is the path I've chosen.
Mickey! It's Riku! They put bugs in him!
What?
Saïx is probably the hardest fight so far, and is what I considered for the longest time to be the hardest of Organization 13. This fight is brutal. Almost everything at a point is unblockable, and it is extremely difficult when everything is flying at you all at once. This fight's gimmick is based off of Saïx's Berserk Gauge, which has 3 levels, each with varying levels of difficulty. Berserk Level 1 is what we're used to, basic attacks with some guard breaks, which we haven't seen yet, and some unblockable shockwaves. However, if you deal enough damage to him, or just wait long enough, he will enter Berserk Level 2. Berserk Level 2 is where you want to pray to God, because you are going to need it. In Berserk Level 2, almost everything is unblockable, meaning you need to master the invincibility frames on dodge roll or suffer the consequences. Also, the shockwaves on the ground that Saïx uses, their hitbox goes way higher than they look like they do. Just to put that out there. And he just moves everywhere. If you are not quick and on your feet this entire fight, you are done for. Not to mention, if you don't manage to deal enough damage to him in time, if you can even find an opening in the first place, he will literally stand there and just fill up his meter right in front of you. So you gotta make sure that while you're dodging all of his 87 attacks, that you are still dealing some damage. Finally, if you manage to get Saïx's Berserk Gauge down to 0, you finally have a moment where you can deal some damage, as he will need to recharge his Berserk Gauge and will be stunned for the time being, so make sure to get some damage in while you still can. Finally is Saïx's DM, where once he goes Berserk a second time, he will go into it. He will start running around the arena, throwing his weapons everywhere, which is where we introduce our second little trick to this run. Simba from The Lion King. You see, in Kingdom Hearts 3, there are summons, which cost your entire MP gauge to use. And we're going to use this trick a lot, because while you're in a summon, you cannot die. And it is very useful for dealing with Saïx, since not only can it deal some good damage while he's in his Berserk form, but we also can't die while inside of it. So it is extremely useful for this fight in particular. Anyway, after a lot of attempts, we eventually beat Saïx at throwing weapons at people.
It's over!
The Heartless obey me now, Sora. Now I have nothing to fear.
You're stupid!
Next is Marluxia, the Traitor King of Castle Oblivion. His game plan focuses on applying all kinds of pressure through looping attacks, normal attacks that go into unblockables, which he loves to mix in randomly, teleporting out of your attacks and going for an unblockable, setting traps and even turrets, and all kinds of other things to make you, well, be pressured into messing up. Constantly attacking you. He does not stop. Most of Marluxia's fight, though, however, is focused on melee combat. A lot of just going back and forth with him while blocking and dodging his attacks, which makes it relatively simple for the most part. However, there is one trick that Marluxia has up his sleeve. That would be his DM, which puts a timer over your head and says you have 15 seconds to deal enough damage to me, or you will die instantaneously. Luckily, I have a plan. By using a little-known thing that the Kingdom Hearts community likes to neglect called Shotlock, I can deal all of his armor instantaneously, which is extremely useful for this fight. Unfortunately, I forget about this mechanic a lot, most people do, and there's very few moments where I will actually use this mechanic throughout these fights, but I did use it here, so it's very nice. Other than that, he can now, after using his DM, use a skull attack and a few other attacks that are pretty big, but mostly the skull and this aerial denial thing that you see here on screen. That is pretty scary, and returns from Kingdom Hearts 2, actually, from his data fight from there. However, the scariest thing about this fight isn't his first DM, it's when he uses it again. Because at the end of the fight, he's going to give you 99 seconds to survive. However, he doesn't give you the chance to actually attack him again until you're at roughly 10 seconds left. And it is absolutely terrifying. But, by the skin of my teeth, once again, I did manage to beat Marluxia. Larxene, my least favorite character in the entirety of Kingdom Hearts. I hate this woman. She is so unbelievably annoying. But that's not why we're here to beat her up. We're here to beat her up because I have to. Anyway, she is not only an annoying person, but she's also an annoying fighter. Because her entire fight is all about speed. She is super fast. Lightning fast, you could say, considering, she uses lightning. But she is just so unbelievably fast and is constantly rolling around and trying to mess you up. It's crazy. Not only that, but even on top of all that speed, she could summon clones in her DM to help deal with you. Like, look at this. This is insane. Anyway, I end up dealing with her DM through summons to cheese it out, because this is yet another DM that I can't do normally. So, we use Simba to deal with her here. Anyway, if you do manage to survive the mess that is this fight, just pray. It is... This fight was a headache, but I did eventually beat it, and I don't want to stick on this fight any longer than I have to.
Try this!
Somebody tell me how I got so small!
Next is Luxord, probably the ultimate gambler, and is going to fight you using his gamer skills. But seriously though, he is quite the fight, and probably the most unique fight in the entire game, actually, given his entire gimmick is based off of, well, playing card games. There's a couple of card games that Luxord would like to play with you, including this one, where you simply have to find the circle in the cards circling in. Destroy the circle one at a time until eventually you can attack Luxord. Simple enough, let's get on to the next one. Between his card games, he will throw cards at you, and the cards he throws at you will land on the ground, and during this next game, he will shuffle them and have them stand up. You need to run around the arena and find which cards have circles on them, while some of them will go face down and try to blow up beneath you. Once you find all the circles, you can then find the Luxord card and attack it to deal some damage to Luxord. What's also fun is that you can, if you're good enough and block enough of the cards, you can actually make this game relatively easy if you just block most of Luxord's cards when he's in this in-between phase. Speaking of the in-between phase, he usually just throws cards at you. It's a lot of long-ranged, and you can't really deal damage to him unless you beat one of his games. But you can make his games pretty easy. That is, except for one game, being Luxord's DM. In his DM, he surrounds you with several layers of cards, and expects you to simply find 3 of them before the cards come in and attack you. Which is a lot easier said than done, considering they expect you to find him in relatively no time at all, and expect the targeting to not just target one of the X's that explode if you hit it. Which the targeting in this fight can be a little janky, so it sucks a little bit. I have never once been able to actually complete this DM, or at least win the game. You can survive it, that's for sure. It's pretty easy to survive, but you are going to take a lot of damage, and your time gauge, as it says at the top, will go down a tremendous amount. Basically half of its max amount, which, to defeat Luxord, you have to get his gauge down, and he doesn't care about your gauge. If either your health or your time gauge reach 0, you lose. So you better survive this DM, or you're cooked. That being said, as long as you manage to deal enough damage to Luxord, you can usually get his time gauge down pretty quickly, and before long, you'll have this fight down, just like I did. And eventually, you'll beat him, just like I did.
It's more fun when you beat the odds.
You have no power over me!
Terra Xehanort. What happens when Terra gets possessed, basically? Well, he got his body taken over by the main villain, basically. That's what happened here. But he has a fight of his own, and it is quite challenging. Terra Xehanort is especially aggressive and uses a lot of similar techniques to other bosses that are extremely aggressive, such as mixing in some unblockable attacks, and has one noticeable difference that makes him special, being his Guardian. The Guardian has all unblockable attacks, and he'll call upon it for some specific attacks, basically just giant shockwaves mostly, but he also has some light pillars, well, not light, dark pillars, that he'll send up from the ground every few seconds. That can be pretty tricky to dodge. However, what's more tricky is, say it with me, his DM, which summons a circle of unblockable lightning strikes inside of a cage, where his Guardian will then start throwing unblockable lightning strikes at you that you will also have to dodge, until eventually he summons himself and hits the ground really hard. That's his DM, and it's surprisingly easy to dodge actually, if you manage to get the timing down. After his DM though, however, he does unlock Ars Arcanum, which is a move that's specific to Terra and Birth by Sleep, and it is all unblockable. This entire combo stream you see here. And it is extremely difficult to deal with, which is why I had to use Anti-Form, which completely heals you, but you can't really get out of it, so it's really risky. Anyway, after this, I did eventually beat the fight. Very nearly losing, though. It was very close.
Me? I'm already half Xehanort.
That's nuts!
Xigbar is the next organization member, and he is a very unique member, as his whole gimmick is range and stage manipulation. Which is weird to think about since we haven't really had that yet. We've had area denial, but changing the entire stage is not something we've seen yet. So, here we are. Xigbar is a shooter. That is the number one thing he does, is he stays away and he shoots at you from afar. Your job is to simply deflect his bullets back at him by blocking. Obviously, it doesn't always work since he's always moving most of the time, but once you get close enough, he'll usually just stop for a moment and give you a break to attack him. But most of the fight is just blocking his projectiles. There are two big things to talk about in this fight, and one of them is this standoff you can do, where you have a good old rootin' tootin' duel, and if you press the button as he's about to attack you, you can actually deal a crap ton of damage, a whole bar actually, and it is one of the coolest moments out of any of these organization fights, and I kind of love it for that. It's pretty cool that they have that, especially in a DLC fight. The other big thing this fight has is, of course, Xigbar's DM, where he sprays and prays at you. Like, there are bullets flying everywhere. It takes a good minute to learn the patterns for this fight, because there is just so many in this DM. I still don't fully know how to completely block this final attack here, since it just lasts for too long. Other than that, the only other big move he really has is this arrow rain, which seems menacing, but is really easy to just dodge through. So, as long as you can handle him shooting at you constantly and just reflecting his bullets back at him, including some of the ricochet shots, which sound dangerous, but really you can just block everything else and you'll probably block them too. So, this fight is not too difficult at all, and didn't take long.
Back at you! Over here! Hi, Sora!
We have officially reached Head Honcho territory, as we're about to fight the final boss of Kingdom Hearts 1, but far harder. This is Ansem, and he is quite the tough cookie. Well, in some areas. Ansem is actually relatively easy. In the similar vein to Dark Riku, he is actually more of a trapper, except his traps are surprisingly easy to dodge. So, what makes this boss so hard? It's his DM. It is 110% his DM. Actually, specifically his final DM, because his normal DM is actually pretty easy. He just spouts projectiles at you, then starts spouting projectiles at you while setting traps, which you can mostly just dodge through. Then he puts the two balls right next to you and starts shooting this projectiles again, and then you have to dodge roll, and then you can just basically survive that DM. It's pretty easy. The problem is his ending DM. His final DM doesn't start out too bad. It's just some projectiles, and then he throws the balls at you. My bad, I forgot the dodge roll. Yeah. The real problem is when he merges his two balls together. It creates this weird hurricane. I have to use Simba the Jesus, because I have no idea how the heck anyone is supposed to dodge this at all. Other than that, there is this one pulley attack he does after his first DM that's pretty difficult to dodge, but I think it's pretty cool, and so I want to share it with you real quick. And now you can see the end of the fight. Let's go! Oh my goodness.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Xemnas is my favorite boss in this entire game. Being the main villain of Kingdom Hearts 2, Xemnas is probably the most evenly made boss in like the entire game. Balanced in probably every category, being he's got plenty of ranged, plenty of melee, he sets traps, he's got everything. And that is what makes his boss so fun. Most of this fight, however, focuses around his tendrils, which will come out of black holes that will push you around the arena. And it is part of what makes this fight so fun, is just reacting to that quick and seamless motion of just being pushed to another area and then having him teleport and start doing a different move. It's really fun. On top of that, there's his DM based off of this brilliant moment from Kingdom Hearts 2. In Kingdom Hearts 3 Xemnas' DM, he will start by just attacking you a bit, before surrounding you in the same dome of lasers that he hit you with in Kingdom Hearts 2. With the difference here being you actually have to play with through this section instead of it just being a quick time event, where he will shoot you with a bunch of lasers and then attack you between the laser fire. And then after that first set of attacks, he will start to mix in blue lasers into that barrage of lasers, which are unblockable, so you have to dodge out of the way of those ones. It was a fun DM to learn, actually. I enjoyed this one thoroughly. Unlike some DMs, where they were super unfair, this one is actually pretty easy to learn, and just takes some general skill. I really like this fight. Some other stuff he likes to use are some shields he'll put into the air and throw you into to deal some damage. Some giant projectile orbs that are really difficult to dodge sometimes. And even some circle blasters. It's really fun. I love this boss so much, if I haven't said that at least like 6 times already. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it any further than that. It's so fun. Anyway, I ended up beating this one a couple times just for fun. I love this fight so much that I was willing to do it more than once.
Leaving?
Back at you! Over here!
They'll pay for this.
Xion. This is the only fight out of Organization 13 where we will be fighting one of our friends here, as she was tricked into joining Organization 13 because she has amnesia at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 3, or most of Kingdom Hearts 3 I should say, because she doesn't really show up till the end of it. But still, she is tricked into joining Organization 13, and so she is also part of this Organization 13 that we fight here. Xion on critical mode is the fight that really made me realize that there is definitely a fight harder than Saïx, because she is just about as hard as Saïx, if not harder, due to the fact that she has attacks that decrease your maximum HP, attacks that just straight up go everywhere, and really, there's just lots of range. There's a lot of ranged attacks in this fight. On top of that, after a basic combo string, Xion will enter an armored state where if you don't get rid of her armor, she will go insane for a little bit, which is pretty annoying because it is hard to get through this section if you do not have shot lock or just a strong Keyblade transformation activated. And that's without mentioning her, while very pretty, very dangerous DM that is extremely difficult to dodge. All of her attacks decrease your maximum HP and is just a lot. Again, another point where I have to cheese it with Simba because, well, I'm sure I could learn this DM unlike some others. It's really difficult, and at this point I was using Simba a lot, so I am going to use him here as well, as he is valuable, and even with Simba I had a hard time getting her out of this DM anyways, as you need to deplete her armor, but that's really difficult when you can't hit her because she's teleporting everywhere. As much as I love Xion, she is one of my personal favorite characters after all. She has to go down with this challenge, so say goodnight, Xion. Love you, man.
Let's go, baby! Finally! Breakthrough. Oh, I see. I see how it is.
It's all over, Xehanort!
You thought you could contain me here, knowing all that you do about connections? There is one sky, one destiny.
Master Xehanort. the final boss of Kingdom Hearts 3 and the final super boss version of already existing characters. He is the hardest fight of the 13, which makes sense given he's the main villain, and he wants you to know it. To beat this fight, you need to make use of everything you have learned over the other 12 fights to take this man down. He has freezing, he has armor, he has unblockable attacks, mix-ups, freezing, other elemental effects, decreasing your max HP, and 2 DMs, one of which is super difficult to deal with. It is easily the hardest fight of the 13, and it took me forever to beat. Shortly after his first combo, Master Xehanort will enter his first DM, which is very similar to Xion's. It's actually kind of a mix between Xion's and Terra Xehanort's, where he has pillars of light spinning around while he attacks you. It's pretty easy to get rid of. You simply have to deplete his armor, just like Xion. But it is still difficult. After you get him out of his DM, the fight really begins, as he starts to throw lasers at you, and unblockable, like, Beyblades, basically. And they are pretty hard to dodge. It took me a while to learn the actual pattern that he throws at you. But eventually you can get an opening here. Then, when you think the fight is all good and dandy and you might have a good attempt on your hands, Xehanort uses his second DM. This one is... I don't even know how to explain it. He sends all the other 12 members of Organization 13 to whoop you. On top of that, he's also attacking you and sending lasers after you. So, yeah, yet another DM I have to cheese with Simba, because it is just so much. Constantly. You do not get a break. Just lasers. Getting attacked by the 13. More lasers. Xehanort himself. It's absolutely insane. Then, even after you manage to get past his DM, he basically enters a phase 2, where he has new combo strings and a few new moves. Like, he can now have a whip and a 2-edged sword. It's kind of crazy. And the combo strings are even harder to learn than last time, since even to this day, I'm not quite sure what attacks in this string are unblockable and which ones I can block. It's really crazy. But with enough tries and enough luck, I managed to beat the master himself.
Finally! Oh my goodness! Wow! Bye. Oh my lord, that took forever. Whew.
We have officially taken on all 13 members of Organization 13 in their Super Boss forms. And individually, with their own strengths and weaknesses, we managed to defeat each and every one of them. It took a while. I won't... on the hardest difficulty, it is... It really is the hardest difficulty, huh? But, I love Kingdom Hearts so much. It is my favorite game of all time. So, I was very happy to take on the challenge of taking on these super bosses in the first place. It was super fun. I very much enjoyed it. I still have one super boss I do need to take on in Kingdom Hearts 2 eventually, but till that day comes, this is the end. So, have a good night. Toodaloo.